sim racers from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beasts wheel to wheel around the hallowed ground. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet, the perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Next Level Racing starts now.
As 2023 winds itself into its closing stages, the fight for the Lionheart Retro Series descends into its closing battles. Today, on the high banks of Nashville, it's time to find out exactly who's the bravest in what might be one of the closest battles left on the ovals before the championship decider. Welcome along to RaceSpotTV and welcome to the HyperX Nashville 150. Delighted to have your company once again as we get set to go racing in this closing stage of the championship fight that will see us run our way into the start of 2024. It's our Junior Kenki party once again alongside with DJ Clark as we watch the drivers out there in the closing stages of practice. But let's head straight down in towards what's going to be an exciting butt kicker pre-race show. Because DJ, I've already got my Christian Horner foot tap going off, and I'm not even one of the drivers behind the wheel of the cars today.
Nor am I, Arjuna. This one is going to be very, very intriguing, to say the least. High track temperatures on a concrete surface on a circuit that is atypical. It has the recipe for an absolutely fantastic race, one that is going to come down to the wire without question.
It might be something as well where we see strategy in some way play its part, whether that's tires, whether that's fuel. We'll have to get into the race itself to find out, but let's take a look at the Next Level Racing schedule as the drivers get set in the final moments of practice. Of course, just 4 rounds to go in what is the longest of the Lionheart Retro Series is ever. 22 races, Road America, Gateway, and Auto Club, of course, still left to come. And a 1-month break between this race and the next race after a quite relentless run has seen us go from Milwaukee to Imola and then back over to Nashville. DJ, this is a pivotal race you'd have to imagine in that championship hunt.
Yeah, it very much is. And for everybody trying to close down on our championship leader of Sean Campbell, this could be the big wild card moment. Nashville, an intermediate oval. You never know what could happen here. So for any of those rivals that are trying to work their way up forward, they're going to be hoping for a good result here today.
And so let's talk about that fight for the championship, because it has slightly stretched on out at the front of the Next Level Racing driver standings for Sean Campbell in that WMP Racing number 26, but of course Michael O'Brien in the Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks car continues to put the pressure on David Sirwa, then slightly further behind as the drop weeks start to play on out. Matt Taylor, Rasmussen, and then Kraus, Graf, Fowler, Hardin, and Guyon, a new entrant in towards the midst of towards the top 10 battle. Campbell's had a good run, but staying out of trouble here at Gateway at Auto Club are going to be so important. Because Road America, let's be real, we're expecting Sean Campbell to be at the front no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's going to be Sean Campbell's hunting ground here at that point. So if you are Sirwa, who we always talk about having really good oval form in the past couple of years, as well as Michael O'Brien, you're going to be looking not only to qualify well, but to race well here. And the big name of the game is going to be stay out of trouble.
Absolutely, and staying out of trouble is something that in the team championship, the HyperX team championship, is so important as well. One driver stays out of trouble, hard enough to see over the course of a season. 2 and 3 drivers, well, that's what makes a winning campaign, and the Nezumi Graphics LC Madworks crew continue to run at the front, albeit now with just 2 drivers. Chris Fowler expected to be MIA for the rest of the season, and so it's 2 that continue to run at the front, but with a quite significant championship advantage, DJ, and that is to their benefit now that they've run most of the season with the 3 drivers and now can focus at the end of the season of just staying out of trouble.
Yeah, once again, that's going to be their big name of the game here today, and when we go to the final two other ovals in the form of Gateway and Auto Club. But they have run an absolutely fantastic season, and this is a race where I think you could see some team strategy coming into play, whether it's pitting together or whether it's working as a pack to try to work your way up through the field.
That's going to be an important distinction as well, right? That pitch strategy. You might want friends to play the drafting game. Let's talk about the Rookie Championship, though, where it's really been stagnant with a lot of these drivers somewhat dropping off towards the end of the season, with Campbell and Kraus, of course, towards the front of the Drivers' Championship, towards the front of the butt kicker rookie standings as well. But then Jimbo Pfeiffer, actually a new entrant in towards the top 10 as he starts to leapfrog his way past some of the drivers that have left us for the season in the Those Guys car. What an interesting team name it is. Let's talk, though, about the Gomez Sim Industry Series details. It's Season 7 of this Lionheart Retro Series. In 10 years, though, of the Lionheart Racing Series. We're campaigning, of course, the Lotus 79, a Grand Prix beast that introduced ground effect to such success, but we prove it can go quite well on the ovals of America as well. It's a custom-fixed setup that the drivers are all competing with, so just their two hands, their 2 feet, with which to get the most from the car as they fight for their share of $3,600 in cash and prizes. 2 of the Triple Crown races are in the books, 1 more yet to come at the final round of the championship as we look to see who will be crowned our new Drivers' Champion. It would seem, with Mike Razmas dropping back in the points, and if MadWorks can continue to run at the front end and hold on to their team championship from 2022. The arena event details, though, see us returned to the Music City for just the 2nd time in series history to one of iRacing's newest ovals available. And last year, Matt Taylor started back in 6th before making his way into HyperX Victory Lane in a race that's, let's be real, DJ, was a bit stop and start with the 8 cautions, almost 30% of the race spent under yellow flag.
Yeah, and we're going to be hoping for a not repeat of that this time around in 2023. But watch for that statistic. Taylor starting from 6th. That is no guarantee being out in front is going to guarantee you a win in this race. Also want to draw your attention to lead changes last time out. We had 10 of them, and I don't think we are going to see any less than that here today. I expect a lot of swapping around for this top position.
And that's going to be important because of the surface that the drivers are dealing with. We talked a little bit about the conditions as well, but let's see the drivers out there for the closing stages of their practice session. And just very quickly look at those track temperatures. 46 degrees Celsius in the correct units to use, but if you use the wrong imperial units, DJ, it's 115 Fahrenheit on the track.
Yeah, and let's remember, as we've mentioned a couple of times, this is a concrete surface, and iRacing is very meticulous in the way that it actually replicates that surface type here onto the track. It's going to act different than asphalt, not only on the grip level, but in terms of that heat retention level. It's going to stay more consistent over the course of the race, so don't expect big fluctuations there. About this 115 is what you're going to stay at probably through the majority of qualifying and race distance.
The drivers are ready to switch themselves over from the practice mindset into the qualifying mindset. They get the track to themselves in 2 laps to extract the most from this racing facility. But as they do so, let's take this time to thank all of those that make this possible, starting with HyperX. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperx.com. Next Level Racing is an industry-leading cockpit and motion simulator manufacturer devoted to creating the most immersive experience possible for the global sim racing community. Take your racing to the next level and visit nextlevelracing.com. You're passionate about sim racing, but it always feels a little flat compared to the feeling of driving a real car. Now you can actually feel what it's like to drive a race car. Butt kicker, haptic hardware, and software are easy to install and let you feel every bump in the track, slip of your tire, and engine redline. The tactile feedback is so accurate and realistic, you'll be driving faster and having more fun than ever before. Visit thebuttkicker.com. If you think sim racing is thrilling, try getting behind the wheel of a real race car. The BMW M4 GT4 Experience and the BMW Performance Driving School in Thermal, California puts you in the cockpit of one of BMW's fastest cars, complete with roll cage and racing slicks. You'll get fitted with a racing suit, practice pit stops, and lap their track with pro instructors. Nothing virtual about their thrills. To book your M4 GT4 Experience, call or visit the links on screen. Gomez Sim Industries are makers of high-end esports equipment and controls, precision built using nothing but the best materials available today. Passion and handmade craftsmanship drive each made-to-order build, creating a driving experience like no other. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com. Arena is an all-new esports streaming experience driven by real-time interactions between gamers and their communities. Arena brings live broadcast fan engagement to the next level. Get involved and make a difference on arena.tv. From simple logos to full branding for your company, virtual designs, deliveries, race by Indy 500 champions. Graphics offers the finest quality with a wide range of design services. Visit graphicsesports.com to learn more. As we were saying, qualifying maybe not the most important thing around the track here today, but you had best believe that drivers will be looking to maximize their way. Rodrigo Muniz provisionally on pole, but it might be the second lap that's fastest based on what we're seeing from some of the drivers, DJ.
Yeah, and the way that they're going to be setting up for that second lap is running the car high on lap 1, carrying momentum around this 1.3-mile circuit, then doing exactly what we see the Kiwi there doing of Michael O'Brien, cutting the car down low and then hugging that yellow line on the circuit. You're going to see him run a traditional racing line, come in high, enter low, and then work their way on through. So that's exactly what O'Brien's trying to do. Series organizer George Anzaldo comes around turn 4. Let's see if he's able to improve.
Yeah, look at those margins, a 10th between the top 10 as they run. It's a 26.190, and as Josh Tucker's up to 3rd, George Anzaldo is up to 6th, so a pretty impressive time. Forsyth is currently in 13th. He's just finished up what would be his second lap. Who else is running to the line to complete what would be their second and final attempt? Guyon almost had a big bobble on the transition onto the apron there, and it's a 26.156, and he's up into 4th.
Yeah, it's a good run there for him. He'll be pretty happy with that. A little bit surprised that his teammate David Sirois is not higher. Sirois only qualifying in 12th. Jim Herrick currently in 14th. Make that 15th, but Herrick on the second lap here at this point. Let's see what he's got. Another driver working their way around on the second lap is Ricky Harden trying to beat a 26.622.
So Herrick's done in qualifying. Can Harden improve from his spot in 18th? Finds 0.4 of a second and slots his way up to 12th. So who still has time to improve? I see Matt Wagner has just crossed the line. He's up to 6th, but there's a handful of drivers that are actually just rolling out for their runs in qualifying and have left this rather late and are trying to take advantage of the cloud cover that's over the track. It's Chris Reagan and his bright number 19 that runs the high line on his opening run.
Yeah, and that's the roll of the dice that you can sometimes take in this lone qualifying around an oval such as this. Is trying to wait a little bit later, waiting for that track temperature to cool even just by a single degree or 2 Fahrenheit, and that could be enough as Reagan works his way down the back straightaway right now, diving down into turns 3 and 4. About a half a lane up there midway through the corner. Going to let the car roll off right now. Going to now dive it down low. Reagan trying to beat him 27. He is. That'll be 7th place for the number 19.
And so he jumps up into the inside of the 4th row. Where will Hugo Gallus jump in, the Backfire Motorsports number 57? And now no improvement actually. He's down in 20th spot, so that's quite interesting to not see any improvement. So it's Luis Gonzalez Nunez, it's Cristobal Valenzuela, the final 2 cars on track, and you know that Nunez will be raring to go on an oval once more. Cuts the shortest line down to the banking. It's a 26.1, but it's a 1.53. It jumps him into the top 4. That's an impressive starting spot, and the margins as tight as you'd want to see. It's 2/10 that splits the field. It's a 10th that splits the top 18.
All right, that's very, very close margins and exactly what we'd expect here around a 1.3-mile circuit such as this, but that's going to set the field. The only driver not to qualify, Sam Ryman.
Yes, but the close margin, I think, maybe expected, yes, but it's always good just to see that the result is a qualifying session where the drivers are forced to get the maximum from the car underneath them. Drivers will get underway for a full formation lap as they get ready to go for this HyperX Nashville 150. It's bound to be exciting for them. It's not the final round on the ovals, not even the penultimate round on the ovals. There's still plenty more action to come, and they know the championship is very much being drawn to a close. Let's run you down trackside to the butt kicker starting grid. where it is going to be David Rodriguez that will bring us to the green. Of course, we've seen him save some fuel on occasion. We've never seen him line up at the front. He'll be alongside Michael O'Brien in this hunt for the championship. 11,000 softened with some gap back to Sean Campbell, his main championship rival, Josh Tucker, and then Luis Gonzalez Nunez behind on the second row of the grid. It's Guyon and Stouffer 5th and 6th, with 7th going the way of Matt Wagner, 8th the way of Christopher Reagan. Matt Taylor and then George Anzalo line up just inside of the top 10, with Sean Campbell having some work to do, but let's see if he can stay out of trouble from 11th in the championship leading WMP Racing number 26. Samuel Fontaine will roll alongside on the outside of what is your 6th row of the starting grid. 13th for Rodrigo Munoz, Tyler Graf alongside him with Ricky Hardin, David Tirol, Richie Hernan, Mike Rasmus within a 10th of a second, and your defending champion all the way back in 18th spot. Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth, Hugo Gallus, Matt Telder, and Cristobal Valenzuela. The final cars with times on the board, and as mentioned, Sam Ryman will roll from the very back of the monster field that is ready to rumble in what is expected to be a pretty hectic encounter. They're lined up behind the iRacing sedan for, again, their formation lap, and as they sit there and get ready to wait, let's see if we can jump on board and walk you through today's featured onboard cameras, starting with the number 7 of Ricky Hardin. He carries with him Gomez Sim Industries, makers of high-end esports equipment and controls. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com.
Number 8 machine of Alex Guyon, is going to be carrying on board the Donate Life machine. Christopher Valenzuela is going to be holding on board the HyperX onboard camera. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is ready to game.
Live broadcasting makes it always interesting to figure out where we're jumping around, but George Anzaldo carries with him Arena, a new streaming experience for esports is coming. Get involved and make a difference on arena.tv. We've only got one race in the history books here, so not much form really to go off. Oh, I don't even know who to pick. DJ, who's on your lottery card today?
Well, it's going to be hard to bet against the likes here of the favorites over the course of the season, but I'm going to be keeping my eye here on Michael O'Brien. He's always a good all-arounder. The Kiwi is a very, very strong driver. He's going to be one to keep an eye on. Also, we've been mentioning him a couple of times, David Stirwa, starting from about 16th position. Watch him to work his way through the field.
Pace car is off and away, and for the very first time, it's David Rodriguez that gets ready to jump the gun. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. We're underway for the HyperX Nashville 150. A good jump at the front of the field. Josh Tucker slides past Michael O'Brien as Luis Gonzalez Nunez battles with Alex Guyon for 4th and 5th position. Already 3, 4, 5 car lengths at the front at the end of the opening lap.
And that's exactly what Rodriguez wanted to do here at this point, just stretch that advantage up at the front of the field a little bit too wide farther back, but it looks like about the top 4 or 5 or so, it's settled down into single file order. We jump on board here with Christopher Reagan, the Elite West Racing driver, in 7th place. He's doing exactly what he wants to do probably at this point, just holding behind, nice and easy lines through the corner, and trying to save a little bit of fuel.
And you can just see as well how the drivers, for the most part, have recognized that, it's a long race, so we're talking about 150 miles. Let's make sure that we get to the end and battle. Fuel windows, we haven't really had the chance to touch on that just yet. 113 laps the race distance, 48 laps the fuel window itself, so we're not going to be too much thinking about mileage unless the cautions play themselves out. And of course, knock on wood when I say this, we had the 8 last year. We're hoping to have just a little bit less this time around. Anzaldo battles with Tyler Graf. This is for 10th position.
Yeah, Graf going to be down to the inside now, challenging around the outside. Looked like Matt Taylor wanted to have a little bit of run, but kind of as we expected here, especially early on Arjuna. It looks like it's a low lane dominant track. Taylor, the Nezumi Graphics LC driver, just holding in behind. That's the look out the back there of Tyler Graf as he holds it down to the low side. You can hear that throttle breathing off through the corner. That is drivers just trying to get themselves together. Looks like Gonzalez Nunez has had a problem.
And you can see his yellow machine off in the apron effectively of turn 1, but because he's still bouncing down low, caution's not going to fly and we'll stay green. And Nunez, after an impressive run in qualifying, now down to the tail end of the field.
Yeah, he is going to be well off the pace here at this point. Even when he gets himself back up to speed, he is going to run into trouble of maybe falling a lap down potentially. Meanwhile, that is of no concern here to your leader, David Rodriguez. 0.7 of a second up into the lead of the race. He is just starting to control this gap as there is a little bit of a battle behind here. This is Campbell and Reagan.
Campbell is just working his way forward with clinical ease at this point in time. Again, he started down in 11th spot, already up to 6, and so he'll be quite happy with that. Now, Nunez has towed back to pit lane, so he's had a terminal issue, it would seem. Let's ride on board as he pushes up into the wall, and it's all by his lonesome that he runs himself down low.
Yeah, and it almost looked like there that he was trying to straighten out the wheel a little bit, maybe just caught a little bit of oversteer there. That was the problem. You can see the twitch from the rear end of the car as he tried to catch it coming off of the corner, and it just didn't quite work out for him. So that's an unfortunate end for the number 14.
At the end of lap number 7, look at that shot. See the speed that these drivers carry. Again, this is a car that was very much designed to go racing at road courses around the world, but it does always put on a decent show on the ovals. Now, David Rodriguez runs out front. Fuel windows, not necessarily of concern, but we always know that Rodriguez is capable of saving fuel even when he leads with no saving help in front. Josh Tucker, the rookie behind, is in a great spot. What's he going to be thinking right now?
Well, this is the point that it's a real testing ground for a rookie. The natural instinct here at this point, if you are Tucker on board, you're going to want to push. You're going to want to get up into that lead and try to fight for it. But I actually caution him against that. Be relatively happy here. You've got a second over Michael O'Brien. Just coast in behind David Rodriguez and don't overdrive the car. Don't work out those tires too much and don't overgo on the fuel.
Especially when they are starting to be separated from a 7th on back. Chris Reagan's car, you can't miss it around the track, and right now a bit of a cork in the bottle. Wagner Graf and Zaldo Taylor all just jumbled up behind as look at the jink down low as Wagner tries to get just a little bit of clean air onto the nose of the car. An effective tool, of course, just to try and build that speed to close that little bit more, but now finally a bit of overlap across the line and into turn 1. Reagan up high and Wagner through to 7th.
All right, that's a good line there for the number 2. That's the kind of clinical moves that you're going to need to try to pull off here if you want to try to go through the field. The problem is that they've lost about 2 seconds on Sean Campbell up to 6th place. That's going to be a big gap that Wagner's going to have to make up. And he's going to have to see if maybe working together with somebody else can help him bridge that gap, or if he's going to be able to do it on his lonesome.
So now we'll get a sense if it was really Reagan being the cork in the bottle, or if it was just something about those front cars that saw them stretch their advantage. You can see those team affiliations on the left-hand side of the screen, but no teammates really able to work together, at least just yet, especially when it comes to the Nezumi Graphics LC team that have strength in numbers up and down through the field. It's a breakaway of the top 6. It's kind of a breakaway of the top 2 as well, if we're being honest, because Michael O'Brien is almost out of the drafting range of those in front, and coming out of a quite interesting race at Imola, where some of these drivers, of course, fared better over the curbs than others. It's Road America up next, the final road course round of the season. And it's time to build up some momentum on the ovals if we want to finish off this campaign on a high.
Well, and it's 3 utterly different ovals that we're going to. A quote-unquote intermediate oval here again, 1.3 miles, so not that traditional 1.5 that we're used to when we talk about intermediate ovals. But then we head to Gateway, an egg-shaped oval that really runs like a short track in the way that it drives, and then all the way to one of the grandest super speedways left on the iRacing service, Auto Club, a flat-out battle all the way around that 2-mile circuit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. You know what I'm not looking forward to? The fact that we're probably going to lose our voices in that one.
Yeah, that does have a little bit of a tendency to run long and to run exciting, and we'll probably be hooting and hollering for the majority of that race.
And that will be on January the 18th of 2024, I do believe. Although the calendar the spreadsheet I've just looked at with all of our event names says 2023, so I'm not 100% sure of that. Luis Gonzalez Nunez says, by the way, I think this is the best example of do not answer phone call when you drive. Yes, we do not recommend that. Although some people in Lionheart have proven that they can text and drive in our YouTube chat quite effectively.
Yeah, Sean Campbell, certainly one of those drivers that's able to do that. He's been able to pop in and out of the chat many, many a time. It's a talent that I do not understand. I got to give you that, Arjuna.
I mean, I guess good for you. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, if you can do it,
if you
more
can
power
do it,
to you.
yeah, I'm not going to ever risk it, though, because I know I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. I have enough trouble just driving as is. I can't imagine multitasking and driving at the same time.
So you understand it. You understand the perils of being a more average iRacer, just like me. Battle for third, battle for seventh. They have somewhat separated themselves out. So Graf on the back of Reagan and somewhat on the back of Wagner. O'Brien increasingly losing ground to Tucker with Guyon and Stouffer running in behind. This race has gone green so far for 18 laps and counting. I'm going to knock on the wood again when I say this. We had 8 cautions last year. DJ, why am I getting a very good feeling about today?
Well, I think part of it is that everybody's spaced out here at this point and seems like they're really calm in the way that they're running this track. It's a very, very controlled way to do everything, and we're not seeing anybody be overly aggressive. And that's what you want to see here from a race like this. You don't want to see people sending dive bombs up into the inside.
I think this static camera is just parked in turn 1. A, again, shows how fast the cars are really going. But B, well, I just love those shots. I love shots like that. But it shows how separated out the cars are. Again, it was, 0.2 of a second between the field and qualifying. We're up to now 15-odd seconds between the 23 cars still running on track. Traffic, not yet a factor, but we've gotten 21 laps into this race, and now about half the track splits Rodriguez from Ryman at the back of the field. Give it another 21 laps as we're entering the pit stop window, and DJ, here we go. It'll be traffic galore.
Well, and once we get into that pit stop window, I have a sneaking suspicion that that's going to separate the field out even more when we get into it, and so these drivers are going to have to work their way through it. Now, the one thing I will say here for the Lionheart Retro Series is the fact that there is a high standard of sportsmanship in the series, so if you are a lapped car that is not involved with a battle in front of you, I got to think that they'll be right in the high side here, backing off and letting the leaders on by.
Luis Gonzalez Nunez says that he's only racing the oval, so he'll miss Road America. He'll be back with us on January the 4th at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. What a mouthful of a track name that is, but it somehow rolls off the tongue at the same time. Say it 5 times fast. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology. It's not as easy as I thought, but these are the weird things as commentators that I've been thinking about recently, DJ, you know? Anyway, still watching the battle at the back of the field. If you check in back at the front, still David Rodriguez and Joshua Tucker, the 10 and the 77, run their way through. Halfway through the fuel run. DJ, we were kind of talking as well about how the weather is going to play a factor on how the drivers are thinking about tires.
Yeah, very much so. And as this temperature continues to rise here at this point, you can see 29 degrees Celsius up to 48 degrees Celsius on the track. That's 119 degrees Fahrenheit. It just continues to rise around here. And the more it does that, the more they're going to have to worry about these tires. Specifically, look for rear tire changes when they come down into pit lane.
These were bias ply tires, of course, designed to go full race distances, but we see on iRacing, right, the cars just continue to evolve, and so that's been something to keep in mind. This, though, is Josh Tucker's onboard look as David Rodriguez feels the heat, and increasingly the draft gets stronger and stronger the closer you get. It's so enticing. It incentivizes you to close, and this is Josh Tucker on debut, DJ.
Yeah, this is an impressive run here for the young driver, the 77, as he continues to work his way through the field. Rodriguez is a driver that we know pretty well here at this point. We know what he is able to do, and I've got to say, the fact that he's able to keep up here at this point, very, very impressive.
Just riding off the back, you are hearing the patience on throttle required from these drivers, a quarter of a second between the top two as they get towards Barney, and then a bit more of a gap behind. That yellow flag has been parked firmly in the back of the flag stand for the time being, and we're hoping it will stay there at this Nashville Super Speedway. what makes a track a super speedway versus a regular speedway?
Well, technically a super speedway is anything that is over 1.7 miles. At least that's what I have been told.
So this is a
that
lie.
It comes in as. It's a lie, technically. The differentiation is that the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway was around before the Nashville Super Speedway. So as a result, they called it the Super Speedway, just kind of as a way to be able to throw it on out there and differentiate the two.
So it's still a lie, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, but it's not a lie. It's just a fudge.
It's a live omission kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go.
More than anything else. Anyway, this is now getting into a debate about things like corner numbers. How many corners are there on an oval? Do we want to get into that debate? How many corners are there at Pocono?
It's only 3 corners. That's the way it is laid out.
It depends on who you ask, because there's some people that say 5. They're crazy people, but they say 5.
Well, no, the oval cornering I understand, and that is very simple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Where I will hear an argument, that's when we get to Road America here in about a month.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I love RA, but the Moraine sweep and turn 2 are not corners.
Okay, good. You're preempting the conversation that we're going to have. On board with Tucker, who got very, very close to the back of Rodriguez a lap or so ago, continues to put that pressure on, and this is exciting stuff, I've got to say. If we go green from here, 35 more minutes of racing, and on debut, Josh Tucker up the inside, sails his way to the lead of the HyperX Nashville 150.
An impressive move there for Tucker, but I hate to take a little bit of wind out of his sails, but it looked like there the Rodriguez may have let him go. Let's remember David's history here at this point. He is one of the best drivers when it comes to oval fuel saving, and he may have let Tucker on by to be able to take a little bit of that draft, be able to get a little bit more speed, and be able to save a little bit more fuel on that number 10.
But that's the awareness of the veteran. At the same time, Tucker's been riding behind and saving plenty of fuel. Maybe it's time for him to get his pedal down to the metal and go, 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 go. On board with Christopher. Great to see him back in the Lionheart range of competitions, albeit in a Lotus 79. He's got Guyon in front, O'Brien in front of that as well. And as we look over the shoulder, Stouffer gets fed a face full of dirty air by Guyon's Raven Lavoie Motorsports machine. And this is a problem when you're following 2 cars in line, but effectively in a 3-car train, is even at a track as wide as this, you run out of places to go to find clean air on the nose.
Well, and as this race continues on, they're going to have less and less room as those marbles begin to accumulate up on the high side of this track. As we look out the back here of Michael O'Brien, you can hear less feathering of that throttle mid-corner, but did have to get out of it coming off of the corner there. That's going to slow him down a little bit. Guyon able to close in a little bit more, but I think Alex is actually looking in his rear-view mirror more than he is looking ahead.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a comfortable place to be in when you're coming to the end of a fuel window. Remember, about 50 laps or so where we expect the drivers to be able to come down pit lane. 50 laps would mean that if this race gets split in half, 113 divided by 2 is 56.5. I think that's probably a bit too much to save, but a caution could really change things up. I think a caution now means everyone has to come in. What would you think on that, DJ?
Yeah, I think here at this point that you pretty much have to come on in, considering how clean and green we've run up to this point. Now, if you did come in at this point, you would be if you stayed out at this point, rather, you would have a little bit of an advantage. We haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but as these cars get lighter, they get faster. Because that is the way that the fuel load burns off in these Lotus 79s. They'll get twitchier, they'll get a little bit looser, it'll be a lot more fun to drive, but it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth on it. So we'll have to see what they do. But as of right now, everybody just committing to running these tanks dry.
I think that's the thing. They're just thinking about, let's get the cars as fast as possible towards the end of the stint. We saw Anzaldo's on board fighting inside of the top 10, but here's Christopher looking alongside of Michael O'Brien for alongside of Alex Guyon, trying to get closer to a podium spot, and the 40 racewear number 13 is going to slide on through. And you were mentioning that Guyon had been watching more in the rearview mirrors than anything, and now maybe he can take a cue from Rodriguez's book and save some fuel. Although having said that, gap up towards the front is really starting to open on up. Tucker is now almost 8/10 clear of Rodriguez's number 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's an impressive run here from Joshua Tucker. Once again, I do have a little bit of concern about fuel consumption, but if this is a straightforward two-stop race, Tucker will be able to make this work and just have a quick splash and dash at the end. We'll get an idea of what that is, again, around lap 48 to 50. That's when we anticipate the majority of the field coming down in to make their first round of stops.
Stouffer gets past O'Brien for that podium spot, so I was just a little bit early on the commentary, it would seem. And so rewinds, pick that clip up and insert it over the move actually happening, and you can get a soundbite out of it without needing AI to jump in and generate an Arjuna voice. That would be probably quite robotic, all things considered. 10 laps away from probably seeing the fuel run dry. Luis Gonzalez Nunez poses that now is the moment the tires get hot. It's easy to pass. The question is, do you stay with the same, or do you change it now? One stint, you lose 50% on the right front, and that's kind of what we were talking about also with the front versus rear. Clearly, LGN was thinking fronts, not rears, DJ.
Yeah, and that's a little bit surprising to me. I would have thought we'd have some more right rear tire wear as a result of this, but with the speeds that are being generated by these cars, he's clearly telling us that that right front is also going to be going a little bit. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. Now, the one thing that we will be able to see is when these cars come down into pit lane, the iRacing simulation will log it so that we will actually see them popping up in the front or popping up in the back to tell us which tires were changed.
If we catch them down on pit lane, that's the important thing, right? Because there's so many cars that will all be filtering down in a handful of moments' time. Taylor's really feeling the pressure, though, by the way. Samuel Fontaine got on through. Rodrigo Munoz is threatening to get through as well. And similarly, David Sirra, qualified down in 16th, is still down in 16th and has not moved on forward. These are drivers that were maybe a bit more accustomed to being up towards the front, that are finding themselves not enjoying their trip towards the Music City.
No, they're certainly not. They are not digging the honky-tonks down on Broadway here at this point. Sirwa very surprised that he is this far down in the pack. Maybe he's trying to go on an alternate strategy here at this point. We could be looking to see if that 99 maybe tries to run a little bit long, maybe tries to run a little bit short. He always seems to be one that likes to change the tires, likes to have that fresh rubber underneath him, so that could be a tipping point there for him. Meanwhile, his teammate, Guyon, closing up to the back here of O'Brien. He's thinking about a move, maybe.
Of course, Stouffer got past the both of these drivers, and now they're trying to fight their way on forward, get a little bit less dirty air in the case of Guyon. O'Brien just trying to hold on, but lap 46, surely pit stop window is about to pop on open. Undercut, not necessarily a popular strategy. Not sure what the pit delta necessarily is here, although I believe you have to enter pit lane off of turn 3, so it's something just to keep in mind, although don't quote me on that. We're about to find out.
Yeah, I believe that's correct as well. There's a couple of circuits here that Lionheart does dictate that you have to enter off of turn 3, thinking of Iowa in particular, as well as Homestead, Miami, that those are two of those circuits. As it looks like, surprisingly, David Rodriguez is going to be our first taker down into pit lane. I did not expect that.
I guess having to save some fuel early stage, and now feeling a bit, rather running the fuel hard at the start means that now he's compromised. And indeed, by the way, just to confirm, did have to pit off of turn 3, and so it's a bit of a compromise that the drivers will do. It's Josh Tucker that's up next, and I believe O'Brien and Campbell will follow on in. It's going to be a busy time in pit lane, and let's not forget, DJ, there is no pit limiter for these drivers to get saved by.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Arjuna, as we saw Tucker locking up the brakes coming down to get to that pit commitment cone. The only pit speed limiter here is your right foot, and so it can be very, very tricky to try to be able to get it down onto that pit lane speed limit, as Rodriguez is going to filter himself back around here at this point on the track. He will be one lap down as more drivers come down to pit lane. Stouffer, Guyon, Graf, Munoz, Reagan, to name a few.
I think crucially, though, for Rodriguez. He comes out in some draft and now back up to speed. Where is he going to fare relative to those that emerge from the box now? So Tucker, O'Brien roll their way on through. This is also dangerous because let's not forget there are drivers trying to come low on into turn 3 as drivers come high off of turn 2. Plenty of lockups. Oh, Jordan Zaldo almost got ran into. Richie Hearn goes longest of them all, it would seem, in his number 70 machine. But net, it's Christopher that rolls off a pit lane, and we'll see Josh Tucker emerge at the net lead of the race.
Yeah, Tucker's going to be right back where he was when everything cycled back around, so a good run there for him at this point. As we watch the rest of this field coming up to speed here, we follow Tucker. Rodriguez right behind him. Got to say, one of the big gainers there over the course of that pit stop cycle, that is going to be O'Brien and Campbell. They are all over the back of these leaders.
Yeah, that gap's really closed, and now throw a blanket over them. Usually you expect the cycles to separate drivers on the ovals, but no, they all executed relatively well as Hearn, Valenzuela, and Gallus will duck their way onto the pit lane. You'll see the left side, the movers and shakers swap around as the pit stop cycle comes to a close, and we near the halfway mark of this HyperX Nashville 150. Guaranteed to see every driver down at least one more time. The question is when and for what reason. Will it be because a caution flies, or will something else happen? 4 cars in this lead train. Christopher unfortunately battles with Alex Guyon. These two need to work together and hope to slingshot their way back into contention.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen that strategy play out over the course of today yet. It's mainly been just drivers kind of working solo, but it looks like here Guyon and Stouffer may be able to start doing that a little bit as they play a little bit of back and forth game. You don't want to be running too wide, though. That will come back to bite you.
And look at that. Mike Rasmus, defending series champion, up 11 positions since the start of this one. He's had a good recovery drive so far as Taylor gets the slide job thrown by Sam Fontaine up in front and able to make it stick, but Taylor back on through, and Zaldo will try and look alongside, and this is all for 9th position. These drivers have lost a little bit of ground as a result of the pit stops.
Yeah, and a big wiggle there for Anzaldo as he tried to sort himself out. Now he's going to have a look down to the inside of Taylor as Taylor got up wide. We ride on board with Christopher Reagan right now, who sits back in that popcorn position. Anzaldo unable to close it down, and they're going to have to resort back into single file coming through 3.
Yeah, but you can see that the drivers are all kind of now trying to still funnel their way on through. Not sure how many really took tires in that first sequence. I didn't really get a good look at them going up on the jacks, but regardless, we'll get a pretty good sense from the balance of the car and how they all run from this point forward. Back up towards the front, let's go and say hello to Tucker, Rodriguez, O'Brien, and Campbell. Stouffer and Guyon last lap actually lost a little bit of ground. Seems like it will stay as is for the 4 as they run. But based on the first cycle of pit stops, David Rodriguez, he wants to save some fuel now. He wants to try and make sure he comes down to the pit lane a little bit closer to these drivers and minimizes time in the box.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is going to want to try to do. And as we get into this final stage, as you said, Arjuna, the less fuel you use out on circuit, that's going to be the less you've got to put into the car. And so that's going to be the strategy you're coming into what we anticipate being the final stop of the race, once again, if we stay clean and green.
And it has been clean and green since the drop of the green flag for this HyperX Nashville 150. There are just 4 races left to go in the 2023 Lionheart Retro Series, and boy, is the Music City treated us nice so far. Don't go anywhere on RaceSpotTV as we near the halfway mark of this race and indeed pass our way through it. The run to the checkered flag coming up next on the run to the close of 2023. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and coverage of the 2023 Lionheart Retro Series. We've strummed our way over to the Music City for the HyperX Nashville 150. A handful of oval races in the closing stages. It's a four-car battle at the front. It's fast, it's furious, and it's intense between Josh Tucker, David Rodriguez, Michael O'Brien, and Sean Campbell. But it's Arjuna Kankipati, it's DJ Clark in the broadcast booth to talk you through all of it. You can still see Christopher and Alex Guyon going for it at helter-skelter behind for 5th and 6th positions. But ultimately, as we descend into the traffic for the first time of asking, DJ, this battle for the lead is heating up.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I've got to give some credit here to the rookie of Josh Tucker. He does not want to give this lead up, nor does he have to, let's remember. He is able to just keep fighting away at it, and he is keeping Rodriguez at bay. That's Matt Telder that you saw down on the inside of the track. He gets out of the way of these leaders. Now, they're going to be coming up against Hugo Gallas here in a second, and that's going to be the next thing they've got to do. But look at this, on board with Rodriguez, moving this way and that way, trying to fill up those rear view mirrors.
And at the same time, for Josh Tucker, trying to make sure that he doesn't slip up and allow the opportunity for Rodriguez to get the run, watching the mirrors one way, then the other as they continue just to battle. Next bit of traffic is going to be Hugo Gallas in the Backfire Motorsports car. And then after that, a bit more clean air for them to enjoy. Back to the stripe, close of lap 66. If we go clean and green from here, it's 20 more minutes to go. This is going to be a fast and furious race. Guyon and Stouffer, by the way, have been joined by Rasmus in their hunt. Remember, Rasmus is up 11 positions since the start of the race.
Yeah, he's our biggest mover here at this point, and Rasmus knows how to get things done on ovals such as this, and I like what I'm seeing here out of him. He knows what these two are doing. He knows that Guyon and Stouffer are just trying to piece their way through the field, play a little bit of leapfrog, and he is not trying to get in the way of all of that.
Meanwhile, slightly further behind them, look at them just battle it out as George and Zaldo alongside with Rodrigo Munoz. They've been alongside for about a lap or so, and finally series organizer Zaldo is able to assert his hold on 11th spot as Guyon and Stouffer back at it. I mean, I was a little bit scared about Nashville a week ago. We talked about it with every single one of the drivers in the post-race coverage as well. I've been pleasantly surprised, and a lot of that credit must go to the drivers for the show that they are putting on today after the 8 cautions in 2022. I'm not even going to knock on wood when I say this. No chance we get as high as that here today as Guyon back up the inside, back up to the front. Traffic once again for Rodriguez, for Tucker, O'Brien, and Campbell.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit hairy there for them up at the front of the field, trying to get by Matt Telder right now as they work their way down to the inside. We ride on board with the WMP Racing Machine, your championship points leader, Sean Campbell. He's thinking about a move down to the inside there of the New Zealander of O'Brien, but that's not going to play itself out. Arjuna, I'm getting the sense here that Sean Campbell's just waiting in the weeds for a moment to strike.
And remember, Campbell started down in 11th spot. Where did he come from? He played the strategy to perfection, and he's waited, and now finds himself exactly where he needs to be, directly behind his championship rival. Results like this will make sure Campbell is somewhat comfortable going into that final round of his position in the points lead. Tucker right now wants to hold the yellow line, wants to run down low. Luis Gonzalez Nunez is under the impression that none of these drivers took tires in their pit stops, which would indicate they are going to have to do that in probably around 20 laps time when they're back down onto pit lane.
Yeah, they're more than likely going to have to, but my question here, Arjuna, is going to be as if anybody decides to roll the dice. Could we see the likes of maybe Joshua Tucker decide to not go for tires and be able to hold on to that track position here at this point? Let's see what he can do. As we ride on board with O'Brien, Rodriguez opening the door a little bit here at this point, trying to see if anything can play out.
I've got to imagine if the tires get to 50% after one stint, there's no chance that you could really try and extend them even further. But, I mean, on debut with nothing to lose, there's been wilder things that we've seen. Rodriguez, of course, as we continue to watch him, probably a great time to talk about our arena driver profile. 40 starts, 27 top 10s. His first start came on an oval at New Hampshire. His first win came in a dramatic style with the fuel saving playing its part at Iowa, but ultimately we know that Rodriguez is a feisty competitor, and just look at him. Pole position at the start of this one, his very first in his career.
Yeah, his very first in his career, and certainly proving that he's got the speed to be able to make it play here at this point. He just continues to try to work his way on through as he's been able to get by Tucker. Now my question's going to be is what can he do at this point? And what is Tucker going to do at this point? Is Tucker going to be more aggressive here? Is he going to try to fight back for the lead, or is he going to try to save a little bit of fuel? Also, what are the likes of O'Brien and Campbell going to do?
You know what they've got to also consider is there's a storm brewing. It's not up the front, it's up in this mid-pack where it's Reagan alongside Munoz behind them, and Zaldo and Wagner still checked up behind. Oh, I get the sense that if there's going to be trouble, it's coming here. As Tucker goes back up the inside of Rodriguez, he's back to the point of this field. The HyperX Nashville 150 is just right now teetering on an edge, poised as the caution flies for the first time today. It's Richie Hearn in the Elite West Racing car. That's had a big one.
Yeah, that's a big hit there for Richie Hearn. Smoke coming out of the back of the engine. The rear wing pretty much destroyed there on that number 70 machine. Let's take a look on your Next Level Racing replay and find out what happened.
Oh, it's just a bobble down low from one of the 40 Raceway cars. Now, was that Jim Herrick? It might have been, but we might need a few more replays to figure that all out.
Yeah, that's the number 40 there of Herrick indeed. Let's ride on board here as he goes down into the corner. Hearn does keep that door open. Herrick decides to send the car on in, gets it down to that yellow line. That bobble that you called out, Arjuna, absolutely exactly what happened.
And so maybe a better perspective would be to ride from someone behind. So Ricky Harden in the number 7, fortunately not Harden the wall. And what did he see, DJ?
Well, he's going to see this there. He's going to follow up on the high line. He knows that Herrick is down there. There's just that little bit of touch. You see Hearn's car kind of fly up into the air, and that hits him into that outside barrier.
And so probably pit stops? Yeah? No? Can you make it to the end from here? 113 minus 78 is 35. You can make it from here. Why aren't more coming down?
Here they come. They're coming off of 4. That's what it is.
Ah, okay. I got scared for a second.
Yeah, I was very confused there. This is the logical point to be able to come on in and be able to make those pit stops. As you said, you will be able to make it to the end from here. So I think everybody has to come down in no matter what. Hugo Gallas is staying out, however.
He'll get a point probably for... No, he's trying to get back on the leading lap. Tires. Watch on the jacks. Sean Campbell's not up. Who else is staying up? No tires.
Nobody in this front group is taking tires. Very, very surprising. And it's going to be O'Brien that beats them all out.
It's O'Brien from Rodriguez and then Tucker, Campbell, and Stouffer. It's no longer 4 at the front, let's not forget. All those behind find themselves filtering back in. Hugo Gallas is indeed just trying to get back onto the leading lap and hoping that yet another caution might see potential for him to still find his way into a good points-paying finish. So we'll get about 33 laps to go when we get back underway. And it is going to be the Kiwi Michael O'Brien that now has 2 cars, David Rodriguez and Josh Tucker between him and his main championship rival, Sean Campbell.
Yeah, that's going to be good news for O'Brien. He's going to be very, very keenly aware of that. And remember, Rodriguez and Tucker here are not fighting for any championship positions. They just want the win. So I think O'Brien's probably going to use that knowledge to his advantage a little bit and maybe try to pit them against each other. At least that's what I would be doing in this position.
So we've had 1 caution. How are you feeling, DJ? How many more do we get?
I wouldn't be surprised here, Arjuna, if we maybe get another with 35 laps to go. I think everybody being bunched back up again, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Yellows breed yellows. Cautions breed cautions, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see one coming up as a result of this yellow.
Especially this late in the season, right? When everybody wants to grab victories at the end to sign on off, so that's also part of it. So we'll get the Backfire Motorsports car waved around to grab a lap back in a few moments' time, and then we will restart the subsequent lap after that. I've just noticed, by the way, in the Lionheart public paddock, or Discord, however you want to put it, there's a voice channel. You know who's in there right now? A certain Joshua Tucker and Sean Campbell.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, they'll be able to communicate with each other, obviously, and sort of talk out what they want to do. but they're not going to be in communication with the driver that they need to be in communication with off of this restart. That's Michael O'Brien. That's where you see that teammate interaction come into play, where teammates get in the same Discord channel and they're able to count down the restart to be able to get the best jump.
Yes, no, and there are teammates that are chatting with one another, as you might expect, so that is definitely a part of the racing as well. It's just interesting to see where some of those alliances, the team bounds get drawn. Lights off on the pace car, the 57 accelerates, and we're one lap away from going racing, but it won't be a 2x2 restart, it's a 1x1x1x1. It means no passing before you get to the line. It means, well, let's hope for no concertina on the start. As you say, caution breed cautions. I say people try to jump the start sometimes.
They do both of them, and watch for everybody to be up on the high side of the track as we start out. Now, that's not necessarily to gain a competitive advantage, but what that is, Arjuna, is that iRacing does not allow passing to the inside on the oval before you cross over the start-finish stripe. You can pass to the outside, just not to the inside, so it's a defensive position to run up high like that.
And it's just making sure, like DJ points out, that as long as you don't let anyone get up high, you aren't going to get passed by anyone. So, pace car will peel off and away, and for the first time since the drop of the green flag itself, the race will be restarted. Not with David Rodriguez in control this time. It is with Michael O'Brien in his hunt to try and close the championship gap. An important jump for him to potentially restart this race on. It's been clean to this point so far. Back underway for the HyperX Nashville 150. And a bit of a check up further back. David Sirwa has to watch out as they all just stumble over one another. But in through turn one, O'Brien from Rodriguez, Tucker, Campbell, and Stouffer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and there you see a big pack forming in the back. Watch out for that as a potential danger zone. 3, almost 4 wide, coming down into 3.
Oh, that's not going to end well, is it? Oh, it has for the time being. Amazing. David Sirwa is alongside, but Chris Reagan spins, and the caution's out once more.
And I don't know if that was caution, or if there was contact there from Reagan, or if that was maybe just a little bit of a self-spin. We'll have to come back to the replay to check that out. Reagan doesn't look like he has any damage on this car. I wonder if that was just a little bit of an unforced error.
So that's the aftermath. He's already basically stranded on the apron itself. He's behind, and Zalda, we jump on board. And DJ, what do you see from the hands?
He's going to be watching it down here, and Zaldo has a little bit of a lick, and he just plays footsie with the apron. It's as simple as that, and that unsets the balance of the car. And remember, that's going to have two things. Number one, you're going to be dealing with two different surfaces, two different degrees of banking on that track. And secondly, he breaks the aero balance from underneath on that ground effects car. Let's run him with Christopher Valenzuela. Great heads up from him and Sammy Ryman here to be able to get around those spinning cars in front.
Bump, and Sam Ryman is still able to roll his way through the grass, so nicely controlled for the 63 to be able to hold on to the car. So, second caution flies of the day, and well, yes, cautions breed cautions. Oh, and now I'm feeling like that optimism for a short race is all ended.
Yeah, we could see a few more cautions fly here as a result of this. That big stack up farther back in the field, drivers trying to push their way ahead a little bit more. But I'll tell you who this worked out a treat for. That's Hugo Gallis. He is going to be able to come back in, get that pit stop that he needed, and come back on the lead lap. He'll rejoin in 21st, but once again, on the lead lap in this race.
That is what we were kind of talking about briefly on that previous cycle of caution, was the fact that he stayed out, was able to get back onto the lead lap, and now will take advantage of that fact and find himself in a decent spot. So I think we'll restart with probably, because the lights are still on the pace car, 28 to go. O'Brien, Rodriguez, Tucker, Campbell. Then behind them, Guyon, Stouffer, Fontaine, Rasmas, and Taylor. And of course, after this, just the two more ovals to come. The Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then Auto Club itself, but that's in 2024. I was just trying to think about what a long journey this has really been. The longest season, DJ, in Retro Series history.
Yeah, it's been the longest season, and it's really been a test of endurance for a lot of these drivers in more ways than one. You know, Arjuna, it's a different kind of mentality when you are coming in week after week and every single week getting into the car. You get into a rhythm, you get into a flow of how you're going to be able to not only race, but prepare for those races. When you're kind of on these off-cycle, a couple of weeks on, couple of weeks off, there and back sort of races, it can really throw you for a loop if you're not ready for it. So it's a real testament here to these drivers that they've been able to make it work.
Yeah, even for us commentators, it gets tough over the course of an entire season to keep the storyline straight, let alone to put in the hard hours for practice that some of these drivers have to do. And of course, with championships on the line for some of them. So, lights should come off on the pace car this time by signal 28 laps to go. I've just realized, because this track has been scanned relatively recently, it's got all these signages, like things like DoorDash.
Yeah, it does. It's indicative, frankly, of NASCAR's return. So you see a lot of the modern-day NASCAR signage that comes in. That is all accurate to what is actually at the Nashville Superspeedway, which is about 30 miles north of the city itself.
You know what I'm not very impressed by, though?
What's that?
Lack of golf courses around this track, man.
Well, not everything is IMS.
No, but no, okay. IMS is not even that impressive, DJ. It pales in comparison to Fuji.
Oh, very good point. Very good point.
Fuji has apparently like 5 different golf courses, like all around it. Like what? Excuse me? Hello? 5?
I mean, you know, I'm going to let you do your thing on that, Arjuna. I am not much of a golfer myself, so it's a little bit of a moot point for me. But I did not know that. Really, 5 around Fuji?
Well, something like that. I am a golfist, unfortunately. Even if I only play golf about 3 times a year. Never with actual practice. I just go out and I start swinging and hoping that it sticks. It seems like sometimes what people do in sim racing. Fortunately not here. Not today.
No, we've seen a lot of very controlled, clearly practiced drives from all of these cars. But pace car down pit lane, we're ready to go back to green.
Here we go. Cautions, breed cautions. We've seen 2 already. 28 will become 27 to go, and the HyperX Nashville 150 back underway. Green flag flies for O'Brien, who leads Rodriguez from Tucker from Campbell. Big jump between the top 2 or 3. Tucker may be slightly compromised, not understanding the rhythm of these restarts just yet, as his makes his debut in the series. Ricky Harden drops down the timing order with a slightly disappointing restart, but outside of that, outside of the move from David Rodriguez to slide past Michael O'Brien, tidy restart, first green flag lap back underway.
But that was a big wiggle coming off of turn 4 there for David Rodriguez. A big snap oversteer, and he had to gather the car back up underneath him. Meanwhile, O'Brien tried to dive down to that yellow line, almost flirted with it. That's going to give a little bit of a run here to Tucker from behind.
They can't go 3 wide, at least not the way they were thinking. Tucker back alongside, but the inside of O'Brien. He'll try and squeak his way on through. Campbell's in the mix, Stouffer's joined the fun, and then Rasmus, Fontaine, and Taylor, all not in play. Going on 20, 30 laps ago. 4 has become 8. And any way you could see this going, when you're 2x2 stacked up Noah's Ark, you can't blink, you can't look away.
No, you certainly can't. Good run on the outside there for O'Brien. He's going to try to carry speed on Tucker. Tucker's got to try to back down out of it here. They're all being relatively safe in the way that they're running in this Noah's Ark style, but they are giving each other plenty of space here. Watch for that space to start to go away as this race continues to tick down to 0.
But I think this is kind of what we expected, a little bit more. It just took us a good 90 laps to get to this point. Rearward shot from Rodriguez, and the slide job to get to the lead may be important. You can hear the throttle lifting. 10 laps on the tires. Have we started to burn some of the rubber off the Goodyears? He holds the low line, compromises O'Brien to run down low, and Sean Campbell runs the high line around the outside of Josh Tucker, tries to get his way up to 3rd.
Yeah, Tucker's resolutely holding on to that low line, but it looks like he's losing speed here at this point. Remember, nobody took tires off that last pit stop, so I think here at this point we are looking at drivers trying to save what they can. Great run there for Campbell. He's going to carry some good speed, and coming up behind, that's Chris Stouffer trying to be able to tuck up in the draft and see what he can get with it.
I mean, if he jumped on board with Matt Taylor, he'd basically be directly inside of Chris Stouffer. He was so close to him. Entering into turn number 1, none of these drivers leaving any pixels to breathe. I bet behind the wheel it's pretty hard to breathe as well. Dry eyes, clammy hands, every little thing you can imagine. But David Rodriguez at the front. We'll see 3 wide in the rear view mirrors. Onto the apron is Campbell. Somehow holds on.
And that was all because of a bad run off of the corner there for Josh Tucker. Now very close there with Chris Stouffer. Stouffer almost up into that outside retaining wall. Tucker is losing positions hand over fist.
This is experience as well, maybe tires playing a factor as well. Stouffer sails it around the outside. Taylor will try and follow through. Oh, there wasn't a car's width, but he finds his way on forward. Taylor charges his way up into 5th, and the slide backwards for Tucker momentarily stopped. Fanning out though, 4 wide they went for a moment. Rodriguez, O'Brien, Campbell and Stouffer. It's anyone's game at the front.
Yeah, and up at the front here comes Campbell on a good run. He's to the outside looking right now on O'Brien. Rodriguez still holding on to that low line. We've got another battle farther back in the field here at this point, as that's Guyon, Sirah, and Forsyth.
And the problem here is no matter where you look, less than 20 to go. DJ, what do you see?
Insanity.
I see cautions.
Oh, well, that, yeah.
So, 1st or 10th, it doesn't matter where the caution flies. 5 to go. That's probably the point of no return. You need to be leading come then, and it's Rodriguez and Campbell alongside, as it's still 2 by 2, basically through the entirety of the top 9.
And remember here, we do not have green-white checker scenarios in this Lionheart Retro Series, so if you get into trouble, you are done and dusted.
Oh, how much? How much do these drivers want it? 18 to go, ticks down to 17 this time by. Traffic will be a factor. That's Ricky Hardin in the 7 down in front of them. He'll be hoping he's not hard in the wall as they all try and file their way on through. We've seen 3 wide work. We haven't seen 3 wide with traffic. Hopefully we won't. Rodriguez and Campbell, who's your pick right now, DJ?
I've got to say Campbell here. He has looked absolutely resolute up on that high side, but Rodriguez able to carry a good line there. He's going to try to pinch him a little bit with Hardin. That was some good heads-up play there, using the traffic to his advantage.
He was a little bit slower than I thought he was going to be, but they all saw it coming. They all navigate through safely, and now that second gaggle will have to do so as well. Fontaine gets past Taylor. Rodriguez, Campbell, Stouffer still 1, 2, and 3, but now Stouffer along the inside of Campbell.
Campbell forced to take a very, very wide line. That's going to be a boon here to David Rodriguez. He gets a little bit of breathing room. Campbell tries to fight it back. Stouffer throws the block.
These are the type of races where you just build, you build, you build, and you hope it doesn't end in anti-climax with a yellow flag in the late stages. Rodriguez up high, forces Stouffer to compromise himself. It's Campbell now in the draft, though, of your race leader once more. This is a chess match. This is a proper chess match on your screen.
15 to go here at this point. It's all about car positioning. Where do you want to put the car? Stouffer gets a better run coming off of turn 4 as they cross over the stripe here, and it looks like Campbell's going to try to hold down on the low side, but here comes O'Brien up from behind as well. Don't count out the Kiwi.
And again, the problem here is a caution might end the race. It might not be at the front. It might be for those behind. And so even if you are Tucker, Rasmus or Fontaine, 6th, 7th or 8th, you're not in a guaranteed spot that if there's a caution, it's those in front of you having trouble, and you might cycle back towards the front. I still don't know who's going to win this. I have no idea.
Neither do I. It's anybody's game, but Rodriguez looking stronger and stronger as everything just continues to go along here at this point. I'm very impressed with the line that he's running. He is not backing down.
You can't back down. You can't lift off either at this point. Taylor has suddenly emerged as a potential contender and sprung his way to the front after hanging back early doors. On board we ride with Josh Tucker slightly further in the back, and I like what I'm seeing from him. He may not have the tires underneath him, but what he's doing is trying to just find an arc through the corner where he can carry his speed, and just look at him close on the back of the number 1 of Rasmus in towards that turn 3 complex. Again, just fanning themselves out up through the Turn 3, turn 4 complex they'll come. We're almost down to 10 to go.
We are indeed very heads-up driving, but now it's going to be 3 wide as Stouffer tries to make a move on the outside. Taylor in the middle line, and Rodriguez still holding resolutely down low. It's going to fan itself out there. Stouffer loses momentum up on the high side, but he gains it back down the back straightaway.
How long can you go 3 wide? These drivers want to prove an entire lap, but only half a lap so far. Wrapping back around to the line, and Rodriguez had a bobble there, I think, onto the apron for a moment. Didn't check up his speed as much as maybe it would have. And at the line, as far as I could tell, it was neck and neck between the 2 drivers, but it was David Rodriguez that had the margin, had the advantage. Up the inside, still comes David Rodriguez, but 3 wide once more.
Ride once more as it comes through the corner. It starts to fan out a little bit more. Taylor with a good line. Now Stouffer's going to try to pick up a little bit of a draft off of that number 8. Taylor will lead at the line as they come over. 9 to go.
Watch on board with Rodriguez here. Watch how minimal the steering input is, but watch how uncomfortable the ride is as well. Another big wiggle out of turns 1 and 2, and the caution flies. And I think Matt Taylor was in front at the time of the caution.
Oh my goodness, 9 to go. How is that going to shake things out here at this point? We'll find out exactly what brought this caution out here, but that is a huge game changer.
And it seems as though Taylor indeed has cycled his way on forward, and so new race leader at the time of the caution. Here's the replay. Tyler Graf in the 98, the focus of attention as he runs into the back of the Backfire Motorsports car, and then one of the 40 Racewear cars gets some airtime as well.
Yeah, big hit there in the back. Let's take another look. Just misjudging that line off of the corner, unfortunately there for them. Not fully able to get it right, and that is just enough to be able to bring out that yellow flag here at this point.
Big damage as well for Tyler. I believe it was Sam Ryman in the 63 that got the worst of it. We're definitely not going to see pit stops, by the way, so you can ignore the bottom right corner of the screen. Oh, there's the look from Ryman, and fortunately not into the catch fencing at least.
Yeah, not into the catch fencing, but that's going to be day dusted for Sam Ryman. Remember, these Lotus 79s, not like the modern day cars where you're able to change clips and it's able to pretty easily come and go when you need to make some damage. That is going to be hefty front wing damage, if not some pretty big suspension damage as well. Ryman down in pit lane, as is Tyler. I wouldn't be surprised if that's day done and dusted for them.
We'll get you an update on the running order in a few moments' time. But take a breath. It might be your last for quite a while. We're getting a shootout. No matter what you want, the next flag will end the race as far as I can tell.
Yes, that will be it here at this point as we continue to just kind of piece our way through this right now. Chris Stouffer, I've got to give him credit. He's only up 3 positions on the day, but he was farther back down in the field earlier on. He's doing a great job to be able to fight his way forward. Looked very comfortable up on that high line. Watch him off this restart.
It's going to be interesting off this restart, how well they all time things up. Remember, Josh Tucker didn't maybe get the best run on the last restart. Can he get a better run this time by? It's going to be an important factor. So we'll restart with no more than 5 to go. I'm just trying to make sure that my statement was correct. If we get a caution on the lap of the restart, we may get an attempted restart, but I feel pretty confident that after that, the next flag will end the race. But we will have to see here at the Nashville, not really a super speedway, but still a fantastic speedway, just not a true super speedway.
Yeah, exactly. It is a really, really fantastic surface and circuit, and a unique one in that, as we said earlier, 1.3 miles in a style of a D-oval. You really don't see tracks like this anywhere else in the world.
I'm trying to think of... I've seen some good races here at the Nashville #fake super speedway, but I don't think I've seen many great races, at least on the sim, at the fairgrounds. DJ, have you been privileged to actually see some good racing at the fairgrounds?
Yes, I have, both in real life and in on the sim as well. It's a really fun circuit, kind of a high bank, classic short oval. I don't know the exact specifications off the top of my head, but it's a really fun circuit to be able to run.
Okay, well, it's still better than the street circuit at Nashville, no matter what. So there's that. What I will just point out is the lights are still on the pace car, and we're about to come towards the take 5 to go, which means we're basically guaranteed the next flag ends the race. And please don't say for a second year in a row, DJ, we're going to finish under caution here at Nashville.
I hope we don't. This has been a great race up to this point, and I think it would be a huge disservice to the fans and to the drivers to end here under yellow.
Yeah, that's the thing. I 100% agree. We went green for, what was it, 80, 90 laps? I mean, it was a good stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very long run of green flag racing, and you love to be able to see that if you are a fan of good oval racing. But Arjuna, lights are out. It's time to go back.
Here we go. So it'll be a 4-lap shootout. It's Taylor, Rodriguez, Stouffer, and Razmas. Some drivers searching for their first victory. Some drivers searching to keep their championship hopes alive. Michael O'Brien dropped all the way back to 8th position. Sean Campbell's in 5th. The Road Course Championship will be decided next week, or not next week, next time out at Road America. But today, the championship could take a vital swing, and Campbell in front of O'Brien. DJ, that's so important.
Yeah, that's mega, and watch for O'Brien to really, really try to make a push here at this point.
It's been slightly cleaner, all things considered, than our first trip here to the Music City. But how does it end? The Nashville HyperX 150 waits for the green flag to drop once more. It's Taylor that gets back underway. A 4-lap dash, a good jump to clear Rodriguez. Stouffer and Razmas will keep the pressure on, though, into the opening corner. And the speed builds. They were 2x2 for a while. How long will it be before we get there once more?
Well, Rasmus is the one with the great run here off the back of Chris Stouffer. He's going to look down to the inside here as they go into turn 3. He's going to be able to get the run. Slides up, almost contact there, but able to keep it clean.
Slides wide, gives Matt Taylor, and David Rodriguez doesn't need a second invitation. 3 to go as the car hit the wall, and Rodriguez has the point into turn number 1. Campbell tries to go 3 wide on the outside and through the opening corner as well. Cuts back down low. 2x2 they go down the back straight.
Yep, and here comes Taylor on the same attack that he was trying to go earlier. Rodriguez going to hold down to that low line here at this point, just wheeling that car on through. Very close running coming off at 3.
David Sirwa had a bubble off the track, but somehow it didn't bring out the caution. Look at this. They're all on top of one another. Stouffer's had an issue. I think he might be out of fuel.
I'm not sure if he was out of fuel or maybe just caught a little bit of ghost contact. One way or the other. We got a car around in the back.
Tucker's gone around, and the race finishes under caution. Is it Taylor? Is it Rodriguez? I think it's David Rodriguez at the time of the caution that's in front. He prevents Taylor from going back-to-back in the Music City.
Great run there for David Rodriguez. Absolutely incredible. And you are right. White flag in the air. It is going to be the number 10 that takes victory here tonight.
Let's see if we can pick this one up. It's Tucker behind the 08 of Alex Guyon as they go 3 wide with O'Brien down low. Oh, it's not going to end well, is it, as they funnel their way in through the opening corner. O'Brien's the one that actually makes the initial bit of contact, but it's after Stouffer had his little moment as well.
Yeah, everybody just getting very twitchy on those old tires. We take another look at it here at this point, coming down through the corner. That was Stouffer's issue as he came back up to speed, playing footsie down with that low line. Let's take another look.
And so, is there contact? There is slight contact there with Mike Razmas, I'm pretty sure, in that number 1 machine. But it's all academic. Back towards the line we go. It's David Rodriguez for the 3rd time in his Lionheart Retro Series career. A winner, this time in the HyperX Nashville 150. It comes under caution, but what a ridiculously exciting close to that race. And ultimately, DJ, we end with our voices still intact.
We do indeed, albeit just barely. Rodriguez, Taylor, and Rasmus, your podium. Mike Rasmus up 15 positions. What a run for your defending champion.
I really now want to know, how close it was at the time of the caution. The problem on iRacing is there's no way for us to guarantee exactly how close it was. But as it's some well-earned donuts in victory lane for David Rodriguez, it comes amidst a rather successful return to the Nashville Superspeedway, and hopefully we do it again.
After a race like that, I certainly, for one, hope that we will be able to here at this point. Rodriguez burns it down across the line.
This is what we believe is the time of the caution. That's the margin that split the drivers. It's barely a car length. DJ, that's how important staying in front is at the crucial times.
Yeah, it really is, and that's how important it is to hold that low line coming down through the corner. I think Rodriguez was keenly aware of that, didn't want to give it up for that reason, that if there was a yellow to come out, he knew that was his best opportunity.
Let's take a look then at the arena race results. Again, the margin's somewhat academic. It's the fact that it's David Rodriguez victorious that will stand up above the rest. Yes, he put it on pole, but the margin and the route to get back to victory, not as simple as it sounds. Taylor's second after climbing his way up forward 7 spots, but ultimately a little bit overshadowed by the 15 positions gained by the defending champion Mike Rasmussen. Sean Campbell also climbed his way forward from 11 to 4th. O'Brien finishes this race in 5th in front of Guyon, Forsyth, Stouffer, Fontaine and Zaldo. The rest of the top 10 after Chris Stouffer's moment on the final lap dropped him down the running order. Matt Wagner 11th, Hugo Gallus 12th with Chris Reagan, Rodrigo Munoz, Jim Herrick, Tyler Graf, Cristobal Valenzuela and David Sirah. The rest of the drivers scored on the leading lap. Josh Tucker unfortunately classified 1 lap down after a very impressive performance on debut. Ricky Harden in 20th position in the number 7. It's 21st for Sam Ryman, 22nd for Richie Hearn, with Matt Telder and Luis Gonzalez Nunez being classified as the final DNFs on the day in a rather tense 113 laps of racing action. Really excited to dive our way down into the Next Level Racing post-race show and to make our way in towards HyperX victory lane. We'll have to give it a few moments' time because David Rodriguez, I think, is still celebrating the moment and enjoying this victory. So in the meantime, let's head down to the second step of the podium where DJ Clark catching up with Matt Taylor.
Matt Taylor, a second place after what was an absolutely fantastic run here at this point, losing out by the merest of margins. How do you feel, my friend?
I feel really good considering where I was stuck at there a little after halfway. The way the race was kind of shaping up, the way the tires were, that field kind of spread out into individual packs, and once that happens, there's really no making up any ground, and then was able to make some really good moves and get through the lines to have a shot at it, and just the narrowest of margins on the caution. I would have liked to have seen that play out, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, how difficult was it out there? Because it looked like coming into these final laps that it was absolutely teeth and nails trying to hold on to these cars.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd really been in clean air on tires that worn. Not something I did in practice, and just we saw how bad a fresh tire was in practice, at least I did, and decided I'm rolling with the tire. You really did have to save it. You could burn through 50% of your tire in one stint if you weren't careful, and then I nearly died in 3 and 4 on that restart, which I was just glad to hang on to it at that point.
Well, we're glad you were able to hang on, Matt. Congratulations on a great run here tonight, and we'll see you in about a month's time at Road America.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Arjuna, that was your second place. Let's talk to our victor.
David Rodriguez didn't need to do fuel saving to come out on top in this one, but David pole in a victory. It's not as simple as that sounds, was it?
No, it was definitely stressful the entire race. Basically, the strategy it was like we flowed into it. I didn't know whether to take a tire or not, depending on if I had clean air. If I was stuck in the middle of the pack, it was ultimately, since I did have the clean air in the first run, we decided to not take a tire, and it worked out.
Did look quite sketchy in those closing stages. How much are you having to hold on to the car?
I was probably the most focused I've ever been in the sim. I was just laser focused on my line. I was just looking at the apron, trying to hold my line and making sure I didn't move up onto Matt, and congrats to him, and congrats to our entire team, Nizumi Graphics, Esport, and really our guys did a good job today.
So it's now 3 wins on 3 very different ovals, Iowa, Michigan, and this. Where are you trying to win your next race now?
I'm looking forward to Fontana at the end of the season. Those races are usually very up in the air, and they're usually very fun and chaotic, and I really like those types of races.
Maybe some more fuel saving there as well. Congratulations, David, on another victory. Can't wait to see you go in a almost month's time at Road America.
Yeah, thank you guys.
David Rodriguez victorious in the Nezumi Graphics LC team, but it was the charge up from qualifying outside of the top 15 to a podium spot that was maybe most impressive for our defending champion Mike Razmas. Mike, talk us through that one from your perspective.
Yep, wasn't expecting to get third place finish out of that, but pretty happy with that. I think I just took a gamble on that pit stop. I split. I was like, oh, maybe it'll go green. I'm so far behind. So I was going to split the last run in half, kind of like we do on the road courses a little bit, and you know, maybe I'd get clean air, maybe I'd have more speed and catch up, and I did catch up a bit. I think I caught up to a couple of drivers, and we were actually sort of catching that front pack a little bit, but I was kind of like, all right, either I try to race and get up there, or I save more fuel, so I decided to save more just to see what would happen. And then the caution came out, and I was like, all right, I'm going to lose a couple spots because I needed more fuel, but I think I lost one spot, so that was fine. And then racing at the end was so fun. That was a lot of intense. Me and Matt Taylor, we both almost lost it on that restart going into I think 3 and 4. We're both like pretty sideways. So I'm glad we made it out, unlike myself at Milwaukee when I spun myself out, which was embarrassing, but didn't do that today, and here I am.
I've got to ask how much team communication there was going on, because that's something we were kind of discussing. In a situation like that, how much are you saying, I'm here, don't come up any higher?
I think we've been racing against each other for a while now, a couple years, and we all know what to expect from each other, and I think that if we're going for the win, we all are aware of that, and you know, we got to do what it takes. We want to win, but we also want to have a good team finish, so we're just going to do our best, and if it's close, you know, if it's too close, it's too close. But I think we made it through today.
Congratulations on a great third place finish. Great day for the team as well. Mike Razmas, will see you at Road America in a few weeks' time.
Thanks, bud.
Always great to chat with the drivers post-race and talk to all three drivers on the podium. But yeah, America's National Park of Speed. DJ, I think we're looking forward to this one. The close of the road courses, and we'll find out who our road course champion is as well.
Yeah, we certainly will, and what better way to do it than at Road America? Over 4 miles of absolute pristine tarmac in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It really doesn't get better of a racetrack, or does it produce better racing action than it does at this Park of Speed, Arjuna. I am so looking forward to it.
I did a broadcast yesterday with someone that tried to call Lionheart, Connecticut's National Park of Speed, and I tried to shut it down. It didn't work as well, unfortunately, but as we look at the next level racing schedule, boy, 22-round calendar, we're coming to the end of it. Gateway and Auto Club in 2024, and then our champion will be crowned. But heading out of this one, DJ Sean Campbell takes one step closer to wresting away the throne from Mike Razmas.
Yeah, he certainly does, and at this point, it's got to be the odds-on favorite, as you can imagine. I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody to try to get anything over Campbell, especially at Road America next time out.
Well, that is a while away, let's be honest. December the 14th. Well, it'll, I'm sure, spring around sooner rather than later, but can't wait to see you for the final road course race of the season. Of course, don't forget, if you want to learn more about the Lionheart Racing Series, the 3 competitions the sanctioning body puts on, or the various partners that all make this possible, head on over to lionheartracingseries.com, and don't forget to stay connected on the world of social media. For the team at RaceSpotTV, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you for the Butt Kicker Grand Prix of Road America. But don't forget, there's still more action to come in the Butt Kicker Sports Car Championship. The Next Level Racing Grand Prix of Twin Ring is up on RaceSpotTV in the next handful of weeks. For DJ Clark, for Arjuna Kanki Party, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time from America's National Park of Speed.